Hello, I'm Kadeem Hardison. In January 1991, the Getty Center for Education in the Arts staged a conference they called Future Tense. At this conference, artists, software designers, hardware and software manufacturers, arts educators, and advocates were invited to explore a garden of electronic delights, interactive and multimedia arts education technologies. In his conference address, Harold Williams, president of the Getty Trust, describes the role of the arts in fulfilling our national education goals.
We live in an age of increasingly focused on science and technology. And while it's important that we grow smarter, we must also grow wiser. And science may give us DNA and genetic engineering, but it's the arts and the humanities that will give us the perspective and the values of how to use it. And no component of the curriculum offers greater potential for developing such intellectual skills or for creating such opportunities to explore the human spirit than the arts. The power of great works of art to move us and teach us is inexhaustible. In short, the arts challenge us to reach beyond ourselves, to discover unfamiliar realms of experience, and enable us to translate that experience into intelligible forms, indeed to express the unexpressible.
Leilani Latin Duke, director of the Getty Center for Education in the Arts, describes the promise and potential of the new technologies, also urging the conference participants to think critically about the issues they raise.
During this conference, you will be hearing a great deal about how technology is already impacting on the classroom. And given all of the technologies that already dot the landscape, and those that are still on the way, one dares to wonder what the classroom of the 21st century is going to look like. Well, this conference is an attempt to anticipate as intelligently and as sensitively as we can what is coming at us and what its implications are for educators, artists, arts administrators, and arts education advocates.
The following program, which uses the conference as a springboard, will take a look at some of the most fascinating and effective of these new technologies. So sit back and enjoy, but do it with your thinking caps on, because the future of arts education may hang in the balance.
The Imagination Machines is made possible by the Getty Center for Education in the Arts.
It's a wonderfully empowering kind of tool.
This is not a computer revolution. This is, in fact, a cultural revolution.
Technology really emerges from human beings. It is a wonderful way to explore the multi-level possibilities that are inherent in life itself.
The tools give me possibilities, give me a way of doing things I've never done before.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Welcome to the Imagination Machines, a program about interactive multimedia. Sounds like a mouthful? No, it's a snap. It means linking pictures, sound, words, and music, usually through computers and TV screens. It's a new medium that captures the way we really think. See these kids? They're composing some music for some animation they've made. They've got a computer, they use it to make pictures, and it's wired to a keyboard which will play music. Pictures, sound, multimedia. Now for the interactive part. That's harder to show on TV, but here's the most important feature, choice. Look up here. Now, if this were an interactive program, you could make the choices. You could decide who to listen to and when to listen to them. But to do this, you need to have them stored somewhere, like in a computer disk or a video disk. Of course, then you need some type of computer or computing device and a player and a keyboard or one of these. maybe you just touch the screen. You might even be able to select what language you want to hear. English, German, Swahili, Chinese. The computer lets you choose what you want to hear and when. And since it's up to me, I am going to speak English. What we'll really be speaking is a new language that uses the arts. Images, sounds, symbols, and motion. This 21st century language will give us stunning new ways to see our world and powerful new tools to express ourselves with. For example, you can see music. Hear a painting.
Once again, I have taken on something impossible. Water with grasses undulating at the bottom. It is wonderful to want to look at, but maddening to want to render.
Travel through an ancient Mayan ruin. And explore worlds that only exist in your imagination. Of course, we need a lot of complex machinery to do this, but this program is not about gizmos. It's about the revolutionary things we can make and do with them, and how combining technology with the arts can help us teach, learn, and maybe even understand ourselves better. According to some of the best minds in this field, multimedia has a lot in common with the way we learn from life. Let's bring on Martin Lamb, Luis Valdez, and Alan Kay to tell us what they think.
Being a human being, we've got these things called eyes and ears and hands and feet, and we perceive the world around us in a multimedia way.
When we learn, we have to learn through our senses. You learn through what you taste and feel and smell and hear.
One of the strongest learning drives that human beings have is the drive to learn a strange environment. And so if you can couch things in terms that a human can recognize as an environment, they'll be very interested in it. It's like a cat. You put a cat in a new environment, they go around and find out where everything is, and I think it's something that's built into us mammals. Put a kid in an enriched new kind of place that they've never seen before. Or in the case of the Macintosh, come up with something on a screen that looks like a world, and people will start learning it without having any sense that they're learning, because of the natural urge to explore.
There are lots of different ways to learn things, and one of them is through the excitement of discovery. The best form of discovery is when it's motivated by your own interest, when it's propelled by self-interest.
Kathleen Wilson of the Bank Street College of Education in New York designed an interactive program called Palenque that puts a Mayan temple right into the classroom.
Once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to do all kinds of crazy things with this disc. First, you see this row of words up here? That's one way you can choose what you want to do. This one, well, this one you'll just have to see. It lets you explore the site of Palenque by walking around the ruins and rainforests. That's the Temple of the Inscriptions.
There are 69 steps to the top of the pyramid. The king who built this temple, Lord Pakal, ruled Palenque for 69 years. The Maya may have built exactly 69 steps on purpose in order to honor their king.
Oh, let's take a picture of that. Take a picture. Do that map. Move the map. What if I start? Take down red things.
Go to the back of the
Yeah. Little dots there. Why don't we go to CP? It's like it's three-dimensional. It's like if you are looking at that camera, you could see everything. Pictures, sounds. What this does, it shows you all the pictures, what it feels like to be there.
Today's kids seem different, don't they? As if they've grown up in front of a video monitor, joystick in hand. Martin Lamb can tell us more about that.
Children of today don't need to be taught about computers. The uncanny thing is they already know how to use them. It's adults that need to learn. That's part of their culture now, just as music, pop music, playing music, being surrounded by advertisements and going to movies. They're immersed in a multimedia society that's theirs. Their world is quite different from us adults' world. Their language now has become a multimedia one, that if we wish to communicate with children, we need to understand that, because children are different now. And they make demands of us as adults that if we can't speak to them in their language, then we alienate ourselves.
What subject would you like to explore through interactive multimedia? Visual arts, tax preparation. Touch the screen to make your selection now. Good choice. The way people use interactive multimedia to create and understand art is fascinating. Computer animation in film and TV has changed the way we see our world. Take a look at this sequence from the work of animator Judson Rosebush.
Some of those images that were the most important images in the last decade were done on very large machines. But now we can do those images, same techniques, on the Amigas here in the classroom. The students who are artistically inclined or have had the extra training are revered among the other students in the class. The Afro-American population in my school does exceedingly well in computer graphics. Generally, they're the most vocal, the most outgoing, and they have the most creative ideas. Where traditional media might slow them down, the computers can keep up with their pace.
Because, like, when I'm having problems or something, I can just get about my problems and work some good pictures on my computer.
I can get any child from anywhere in this city, sit them down at this machine, no matter what their economic background, and they will excel.
The gray is the street, why the gray is moving, so the car can look like it's moving. And then that's me in the driveway waiting for my dad to get home.
The Nintendo video generation makes them that much more discerning about good and bad computer graphics. I try and teach them that computer graphics is used in law, medicine, and a variety of other workplaces. Even if it was a traditional art class, it's getting the students to think about what they're creating in a whole new way. I don't care what the media is. That, to me, is the key, it's the trick, it's the spark, you know.
Pretty terrific for kids, right? These next animation clips are pretty terrific for grown-ups. Speeder was made by college students and faculty at the Arts Center College of Design in Pasadena, California.
Technology really emerges from human beings, and we are the most advanced technological instrument that exists already in our naked beings. So really, to find a reflection of this on video is to make those mental processes that occur inside our heads, make them exterior and visible.
In the Middle Ages, monks made their ideas visible in illustrated religious texts. Designers created an interactive disc for the J. Paul Getty Museum that presents illuminated manuscripts from the 12th century with 21st century technology.
The Visions of Tondel was written in 1149, 150 years before Dante wrote his Divine Comedy, another story of a soul's journey through hell, purgatory, and paradise. The text of the Visions of Tondel was originally written in Latin by an Irish monk.
By choosing options from an on-screen menu, you can explore some of those manuscripts and the ideas behind them. Kathleen Wilson designed this interactive video disc on Impressionist paintings for a group of 7 museums.
I think I'll start with the water lilies, which is here at the Museum of Modern Art. We could zoom in a little closer to the surface of the painting and pan around the surface. Here we can see the colors a little better and the brush stroke. Or maybe we'd like to see a menu, which is a graphical representation of Monet's studio. We based this image on a photograph taken of Monet in his studio. There are a number of options in the studio that we can select. We could read a biography about Monet. We could see a chronology of his paintings, or maybe I'd like to try the third framework, the context framework. I can select that from the top of the screen, and here we have a menu that is based on the layout of his garden, which in and of itself was a work of art. And maybe we'd like to look at some of the paintings that he painted in the garden. Here, for example, is a Japanese bridge painting that he painted there. Or maybe we'd like to see some photographs that were taken of the garden fairly recently. Here are some pictures of the surface of the pond that he painted. And we also have a film clip that shows the pond surface. This is something that Monet looked at for years and years and studied in various weather conditions and seasons.
To teach people about art, you need fine details and accurate color. And the new technology can help with that too. This high-definition video of Claude Monet's water lilies, even on your home TV, sets new standards for reproduction. What's even more exciting is to use these new tools to make art. In his lab at the University of Toronto, Martin Lamb, a musician, scientist, and software designer, is refining his program Menulay. It's as popular with Ontario's public school teachers as it is with their students.
My research at the university here is focused on the user interface. That is, how do we make computers easier and more accessible to the untrained user? And that has naturally led us to work with children because they are initially untrained and they don't have any preconceived notions about the limitations of the technology. Menulay is a hypermedium. That is, it's a computer program that lets you assemble paintings, music, animation, speech, sound effects, compact disc audio, and laser video disc presentations. Combine all of that into one coherent project or multimedia presentation. You get to do it yourself.
I'm a bit crazy about art, and this program gives me many colors which satisfy me a lot, any shades I want.
One of the things that concerns me about the way that children are taught the arts is the equivalent of an electronic ruler that raps them over the knuckles whenever they do something wrong. Now, in all of the computer programs that I've had a hand in creating, whether it be in the arts or in the sciences, there's none of that. Students learn from their mistakes, only we don't call them mistakes. I prefer to think of them as surprises. Let the child decide whether he or she is creating something bizarre or outrageous.
Why don't we place one of the figures on the screen?
Like do exactly what Simon did?
Yeah, place the next figure there. Yeah, just keep
It's
going.
very important that when children use computer programs, that they be encouraged to do so in groups of 2 or 3. That gets the children talking amongst themselves, and it draws out of the children the reasons for their explorations.
The last thing. Walk off. Yeah, that's good. Oh, it's so cool. Look at you, he's actually jumping. Oh, there he goes.
This is one of my favorite animations done by a school child. It was done using iPaint with the animation editor. The skeleton would have been drawn by the student, and then using the editor, all the various bones would have been moved around. It would have been a lot of fun and not all that difficult to do. The whole thing would have taken about an hour to produce.
The things you can do with computer animation are endless. These segments are from Infinite Escher, starring Sean Lennon. It's a showpiece of the wonders of this medium.
like to explore next. Performing arts, Latin, grammar. Touch the screen to make your selection now.
Let's start with music and Martin Lamb's menu lay. His program does it all.
The great thing about a piano is you just push down on the black and white keys, and inside all this complicated stuff is going on without you having to worry about it. Now, a good computer program should be like that too. You should be able to work away at a simple user interface, whereas inside all the complicated stuff is going on without you having to worry about it. Also, like a piano, a well-designed computer program should be able to be used by absolute beginners through to really experienced users without having to add extra features on the way. Just like with a good computer program, a piano can be played by a child. The same piano, with no extra features, can also be used by an experienced musician, just as a good computer program can be used by experienced practitioners as well. And it's the same piano. With this computer program called Musicland, children can actually see sounds. For example, on the screen is a shape which the computer will play. I can also create my own shapes. I can draw a line going up, a vertical line, and make a little face at the end. Children often like drawing their names. And then, when the child has done this, selecting the word done allows you to hear the music played by the computer . So it's very easy. Children can learn about things that are normally only taught sometimes at university level.
Okay, so now we're going to combine it, the sound in the movie. So we're going to make it.
We'll make sounds that's like pleasing. I don't think softer. We need something softer.
If you want to learn about music rather than compose it, use a video disc. At a conference sponsored by the Getty Center for Education in the Arts, some of the best artists and designers in North America shared their interactive programs. Here's Robert Winter, who designed a video disc for the Voyager Company on Stravinsky's ballet, The Rite of Spring.
But I think what it is about, to some extent, is incorporating the fun aspects of MTV and short attention spans. You know, short attention spans are a lot of fun, if you think about it. That is, going where you want to go, when you want to go. A pictorial graphic orchestra for Stravinsky. Here's your picture of how the orchestra looks on stage. How about the percussion? What do they look like? Oh, there's a timpani being played, and here it is sounding. This is the famous audition link for the bass clarinet. Quite different from this. Now, I want to teach you how to listen. Regular meter. Can you hear that? Sure. Now, we know that rhythm is the most revolutionary aspect of the Rite of Spring. You have the famous Augurs of Spring, the lumbering dinosaurs part. You can hear it two ways, and you can show graphically how you might break it down. This one way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, and so forth. Now, when you see the screen look like that, you hear it that way, but suppose we back up a bit in the music and set up the regular meter that Stravinsky uses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4. 2, 1, 1, 2. Again, you have control over it. You can go back and forth, which is right, they're both right. It's a wonderfully empowering kind of tool. And again, it plays right into the short attention span of kids. My daughter, and we were talking about this a little bit before also, my daughter thinks Igor Stravinsky's Ritual of Abduction is rock and roll.
Making music visible makes it fun for more people. Voyager's Bach disc does this in a variety of ways. You can follow a Bach score this way, or while watching someone play the harpsichord. Musician and software designer Stephen Malinowski wrote the computer program that creates this video. He calls it music animation because it turns notes into colors and patterns. Colors show the musical lines, and the length of each line is how long the note is held. This is a handy way to see harmony, or to take a look at melody. Want to learn how to play piano? Music professors Annabelle Joseph and Marta Sanchez developed Music Tutor to go along with their coaching. Roger Dannenberg, their colleague at Carnegie Mellon University, created the software. Watch what happens when you hit a wrong note.
Careful, you missed that note again. Let's concentrate on the highlighted phrase. Listen to your performance. This is how it should sound.
Interactive multimedia is breaking new ground in many areas. Theater, for instance.
The Shakespeare Project is a multimedia project I've been working on for about 4 years. This is for students who otherwise would only have a printed text to tell them about a play. They get to see what the director does, what the actors do, what the scene designers do. And then they get a chance through simulation, computer simulations, and through working with visual images to imagine their own version of a play. So they get to see the way in which every production is in fact only one realization of an infinite number of possibilities for this particular text or play. They get to become surrogate directors.
Drama teacher Philip Moss's students work out blocking with the Shakespeare Project, then try it for real on home video.
Shoulder.
Hamlet, I am slain.
A dramatic and funny story has made Broderbund's Carmen Sandiego the most popular computer learning game in the country. Kids have so much fun tracking a nefarious villain through history and geography, they don't even know they're learning.
Might be there, but you want to try the north? See if Washington's in the north? If Washington's, like, supposed to be down here?
Two of its creators give us clues to why it works.
We have never liked to be talked down to as students of our own, and we don't do that to kids. There isn't any reason you can't use 50-cent words to kids. They're bright. So I think that part of it is that you treat them, as intelligent people like we would want to be treated, and it works out fine.
Give them a reason, they'll learn something. We have been kind of surprised in the role play aspect. That we caught on probably by Carmen US, which was the second one in the series, that the kids really enjoy being detectives. So we, as the series progressed, made Acme more and more of a real place, and the chief more and more as a real person.
Well, it starts off as a game, and you want to find out as much as you can, so you end up learning about history, American history. So in that respect, it's pretty neat.
What is a hard fact? Is it any more difficult to look up one fact as opposed to another if you have good reference material? There's nothing inherently more complicated if you don't know the information to go look up one item or another.
They're learning. They really enjoy it. They have gotten, they've been asking for the books. They've been working real hard. They get very involved in it, and it's kind of a combination. And I think it's good because this way they know computers are a tool, and they work real well with the tool. They're getting used to computers, so they're not afraid of computers. They're learning their history, which is great, and they're having fun. And what else could you ask for?
How do you dance with a computer, waltz with a videotape? A choreographer, Shirley Ryrie, tells us.
What technology can offer can enhance what you're doing choreographically. I wouldn't want the technological equipment that I'm using, I wouldn't want it to overshadow the dance. The dance has to be primary, but it can enhance, it can add a mood or a clarity. It's the imagination of the individual that works creatively with the technology. Each time we make a step technologically, it makes it faster and easier and more precise, which is what I value. It allows communication to be so much more precise and intense than it ever has been before.
Computer graphics have become so advanced that they can now model almost exactly the movements of the human body. Choreographer Merce Cunningham used Tom Calvert's Lifeforms program to work out movements for some of his dances. Once you animate a figure, you can combine it with other figures and move them about in space. Composer Todd Mackover also uses computers as stand-in performers, combining them with musicians in the same piece.
These electronic boxes that you see here are controlling the quality of the sound, which instrument is louder, where in the room the sound takes place, and that's all under the direct control of my fingers and the position of the hand in space. So what I'm doing is moving the hand and shaping the overall sound quality with this glove. What you see here, there are 3 computers used live in this piece. This is the IBM type computer which monitors physically what my hand is doing. I wear this the glove on my left hand while I conduct the piece. One of the very strong feelings that goes through all of my work to this point is the very deep feeling of combining different worlds that on the surface seem like they don't belong together.
Todd Mackover composed the music for Flora, a video by Yoichiro Kawaguchi. What you've seen so far, you might think these machines can do everything. But before we get carried away, let's call on our experts for some cautions and some good advice.
We have an opportunity as educators and as artists to really take some initiatives with the people who are inventing the technologies, both the hardware as well as the software, and try to forge with them new ways of really applying this technology, using the best that the arts have to offer. And at the same time, I think it was very clear how long it may take for technology to find its way into the classroom.
The new technologies are cheaper than they've ever been before, but they're going to need to be cheaper. The acceptance of the new technologies, like any technology, is going to be gradual. And yet education, be it through the government or local groups, need to invest quickly. Another obstacle is the talent. We're going to need to develop talent to use this media very quickly, and at the same time to do that in a way that's not just crassly commercial.
I think that one thing that has gotten lost in this whole rage over interactivity is that people are just shoveling all kinds of information into one medium and saying, I can go here, see what else I can do, and nobody is using the word should. I think that what we need is an artistic vision and an authorship that is consistent and maybe linear, and then give people opportunities to branch off of that and get other points of view or other involvements for themselves in it. But there must be what we call a spine to the piece.
How do we create a spine? A story is a spine. The oldest learning device in the world is still the best, even in the 21st century.
We experience life as a story, and we try to give meaning to or find meaning in our life story. So we're equipped somehow naturally to be drawn to stories. And I think it has proved to be an enormously powerful way of introducing children to topics in science. It's extraordinary to us the extent to which children, everybody, remembers details from a story presentation.
Here's a very human story told with the latest technology. Designers at Pacific Data Images used computer graphics to create a living, breathing train in this segment from Locomotion.
Emotions play a central part in learning, and often that central role of emotions is ignored when materials are designed or when learning is discussed. We learn the things that move us.
The people at Bank Street College use a television drama, The Voyage of the Mimi, as a spine.
Well, this was a grand city hundreds of years ago. There were temples, plazas, ball courts.
Ball courts?
Yeah, they played a kind of ball game. We don't know the rules yet. But about 900 A.D., the Maya civilization just went poof, collapsed. It all fell apart. Nobody knows why.
No ideas?
Plenty of ideas, just no proof.
The video series is a jumping-off point for everything from interactive computer software to hands-on activities.
And I had 8 degrees. The computer gets 8 degrees. So that means that my calculations are right and the computer's calculations are right.
It's quite interesting to me the extent to which we have required of children when they enter science and math classes in particular, but all classes in schools, that they check their emotions at the door. They are dangerous, disruptive, difficult to control. Teachers often would rather that emotions were not aroused in a classroom for understandable reasons. But in our view and in our experience with the Mimi materials, it's when the emotions are engaged that a child is most ready to learn and most willing to commit himself or herself to a protracted course of study.
Tools that help us see solutions to problems are useful far beyond the classroom. They help chemists, product designers, architects, and engineers. What's really new are 3D graphics like these. Designers used Autodesk's animation program during the planning of the Orlando, Florida airport to pre-visualize the design. You can explore the building and check it out while it still exists only in the architect's mind. You store information in a computer in digital code as a series of ones and zeros. In other words, once it's in a computer, everything is math. It's digitized. A branch of math known as fractal geometry allows us to create forms that look as if they were created by nature. It's changing the way scientists, designers, and artists are able to manipulate and create images in the world. If you're beginning to get the idea that art and science work well together, a lot of people would agree with you.
What's interesting about young kids is that they begin school not knowing that there's biology and physics and reading and writing. They come to schools ready to learn, and those divisions happen to them as they move along in school, where they go to a biology class or they go to a math class. But I think what's lovely is to realize that young children don't characterize those things differently. So I think that what we find is in our education system, young kids don't know the difference, and arts and math and science are integrated into their lives. And I think that when it works well, we integrate those things together. And I find it interesting that as we move forward in school, all of a sudden those things get compartmentalized. And so we say, should there be art? Which is the wrong question. The question is fundamentally, how does one engage the notion of being human?
With interactive multimedia, we can use the tools of art, visual icons, stories, music, and other sound effects to explore any subject. Remember chemistry? Memorizing the table of elements? I wasn't lucky enough to have a program like Chemistry Land, which uses pictures and sounds to teach the properties of the elements.
Now, what's a good thing to show here?
Lithium works really well.
Okay, let's have a look at lithium. Okay, now, how can we make this unstable?
Why don't we add a neutron? Or another one.
Okay. And great, it's radioactive. Notice the radiation symbol flashing in the top right-hand corner, something that all children need to know about these days. It's got a half-life of almost a second, and let me peel off an electron. Whoops, oh my word.
Using computers, kids can create atomic explosions safely in the classroom. The sounds and pictures of interactive multimedia give people powerful tools for understanding science and math.
Music enables me to be creative in a different way, and I think that it's very helpful to be in a different world sometimes, to look with a different perspective on the world that you've just vacated. So, for example, while I'm playing an orchestra, I may be my mind may be ticking over some interesting design issue with computers. And similarly, when I'm working with computers, I may be humming away, which helps to balance life out. Otherwise, if any one extreme for me would be less satisfying, less fulfilling.
Dance is physics. All the balancing and the leverage and the center of gravity and all of those things.
The arts are essential because we are artistic creatures. We all create all the time. Our world is a created world. We construct the world. If we want more freedom in our world, we have to be aware that we create, and we have to be empowered to create in ways that are appropriate for ourselves.
The arts really are one of the few subjects that give kids the opportunity not only to express ideas through sound or images or movement, but also to think critically and analytically, to try to interpret meanings from works of art. Those are all cognitive skills that other subjects really don't nurture and foster.
We are technological down to the very heart and very essence of our being. We are a living vibration. And all of these wondrous instruments that we see, that we work with today, that are emerging from the human mind, are but extensions of the mental processes that are inherent in our own human beings. The beat of the human heart translated into the beat of the human drum, which translated into the beat of human musical instruments. The beat of poetry, is the vibration of the human soul. The vibration in a painting in colors is the vibration of the soul that painted it. The vibration of words in the theater is the vibration of the human mind that is vibrating with consciousness. Are we creators? Are we thinkers? Are we believers in the destiny of the human race? The future belongs to those that can imagine.
Imagination. It's always the key ingredient. New technologies always excite me, but whether they make us wise and kind or turn us into low-life goofballs depends entirely on the imagination and the motivation of the people who make and use them. These wonderful imagination machines give us a lot of ways to make the world better, but it's up to us to make that happen.